Peter Scrhager, NFL Network, Fox Sports, and part of the Emmy-nominated Good Morning Football, which airs Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. Eastern. Thursday Night Football continues this week. Eagles, Panthers, CBS, NFL Network, Amazon Prime Video. Good to have you in studio.
Great to be here. This is so cool.
You went to Indianapolis this past weekend for the Colts-Niners. Did you have any idea what was going on with the vice president?
I was a sideline reporter for Fox Sports, so I'm worried about Marlon Mack's hip. I'm doing all this stuff. I got in there. The big storyline is that Ryan Kelly's back in the lineup for the Colts, but this all happens. Now, the Secret Service was there, and we did a thorough check with them. Now, the interesting deal that no one else is talking about is that this was such a cool weekend for Peyton. Like, such a cool weekend that Edgerrin James, they haven't seen him in years. He's there. Marvin Harrison comes in. The entire starting lineup from that unit. And if I'm Jim Irsay and I'm flying all these guys in, I'm having this great festivities, the entire fan base is, and the headline coming out of that is Vice President storms out. I'm curious because the Vice President knew going in that the 49ers were going to be doing some sort of demonstration. That was no great surprise. The Niners have announced that. So I'd be curious to hear Peyton's thoughts. I'd be curious to hear Jim Irsay's thoughts. You put on this great event, and the big headline is the Vice President leaving.
You have Peyton there. They're honoring Peyton, and I couldn't help but think what's going on in Andrew Luck's mind as he's watching all of this and wondering if one day he gets this kind of tribute there. But now they say they're going to play him when he gets healthy. But is there a break-even point with them that, okay, we have to play him because we're sort of in this, or do they shut him down?
Couple weird factors with that. So I get to go to the practice. If you do the sidelines, you get to go to the practice on Friday and see everything with no cameras. And the media, the local guys aren't allowed to be there. So I'm watching Andrew Luck practice. I'm one of the three people, me, Spielman, and Brenneman. And we're watching him, and he's not doing live action drills. He's throwing on air, but it's like 5-10 yards. It's not. He's a long ways away. Yeah. He's not ready to go next week. I'd be very surprised if we see him the next few weeks. On the flip side of it, they haven't played a team in the AFC yet. They haven't played anyone in the division yet. That division's so wide open. And Brissett's won a couple games. So it's one of these deals where let's see how the season goes. And if Brissett's winning football games and we've got something going here and there's good juju, maybe you just leave him out the rest of the season. I'd be curious with you. He wants to play. The team wants to see him play. Obviously, Chuck Pagano, we don't know what his job status is going to be at the end of the season. He probably wants to see Andrew Luck play. But from what I saw, it's not going to be in the next 7 to 10 days that we see him in the field.
Yeah, but how did they screw this up? That they were this far off of him playing this season? This isn't even close, Peter.
How much worse could it have been? They could have gone with Tolzien and not pulled the trigger on Brissett.
They're lucky to have Brissett.
They made a move that, Philip Dorsett wasn't doing anything. They get Brissett, and suddenly they've got a guy that they think could be a starting quarterback in the NFL. But yeah, you have to wonder. They go through the entire draft process, the entire free agency process, no backup plan really for Luck. And what we were hearing at the start of training camp was that he was throwing a tennis ball, hadn't even thrown a football.
Mitchell Trubisky last night. I know that we have to have this reaction. We got to jump in. Here's my hot take, and Mitchell Trubisky's the franchise there. I still haven't seen enough, obviously. I think the preseason kind of raised the bar. I expected him to be really good last night. He wasn't, but there's enough there that I saw mobility, what they did with the pocket with him. They had penalties and drop passes. But it looked like he knew what he looked like a starting quarterback, not a franchise quarterback, but a starting quarterback. What is your litmus test where you go, okay, now I got a pretty good idea of how good this guy is?
Watson started that first game in Cincinnati on like 4 days rest and did next to nothing through the air. He made that one play and won the game. And everyone was like, well, no, he looked the part and there was juice. That's how I look at it, the juice. The building was alive. They're coming off that Cubs win. Everyone was excited. And Kendall Wright after the game said, yeah, there's definitely an it factor. There's something there. Glennon's a nice kid. I sound like I'm being degrading to Glennon. Nice guy, can play in the NFL, but this is the it factor. And when they traded up to get Trubisky, I think a lot of Bears fans were outraged by that. And we're like, why would we do that? We just got Glennon. I think you see why. Now there's a succession plan. There's a future. I think Trubisky has it, and it's going to be interesting to watch. You're talking about the 2011 draft. Watson, Mahomes, Trubisky, Kaiser. How are we going to chart these guys the next few years? I think Trubisky's in the least advantageous situation. He doesn't have a number one receiver. I think that's the 32nd wide receivers room in the league. Like, I don't think there's any NFL starting talent in Chicago at receiver. I want to see how Trubisky develops knowing that he doesn't have the weapons that the other guys do.
Who feels like the worst team in the NFL?
Just was with the Niners for a while. Doesn't feel that way. They're upbeat. They've lost 4 games in a row by a total of 11 points.
The defense is good.
Defense is good. Browns, they're so young. The Giants feel like the worst team in the NFL. Yeah. And that's that, because there's expectations of Super Bowl, and then that gets away real quickly. Once you're a team that thinks you're a bunch of veterans, and you start off 0-4, 0-5, 0-6, it can get real ugly.
And I wonder if you're the Giants, now you got to bring in wide receivers. You're going to have, casting call here for wide receivers. They want to be in a position to get a shot at a quarterback. I mean, I guess with Eli, no matter what happens this year, it feels like they'd be in the market for a quarterback.
It's not imprudent, right? I mean, I feel like they got Davis Webb in the 3rd round or 4th round, and people were saying, all right, let's see how he does. Geno Smith's there, but I think you don't get a top 5 pick. And if you're the Giants as a franchise, you don't expect to every 20 years. So when you have that pick, I think you have to go quarterback and think succession plan. The Chiefs last year traded up and got Mahomes. Doesn't mean Alex Smith isn't going to start the season. Doesn't mean, if anything, Mahomes has lit a fire under Alex Smith. Alex Smith's playing the best football of his career. I think he's seen this script before with Kaepernick. I wonder if they were to draft a quarterback in the top 5, whether it be a Darnold, a Rosen, a Josh Allen, does that elevate Eli's game next year? Hey, there's actually a fire burning now. I've got to play even better and be even better.
Boy, I don't know. It'd have to be a 5-alarm fire to ignite Eli there. We have Shea and Irving who calls in. He calls him Sling Blade.
Yeah.
I love that nickname for Eli.
But Sling Blade wins 2 Super Bowls because he's just Billy Bob is just straight,
Is he a Hall of Famer?
He is a Hall of Famer.
Is he a Hall of Famer because, you beat the Patriots, you win 2 Super Bowls. Just that alone. And you play in New York. Yeah. And your last name's Manning.
Yes. Yes, all that. Yes, all that. I think Plunkett is the only one to win 2 Super Bowls and hasn't. And, Eli's won 2 Super Bowls against Tom Brady, and he has done it at the biggest of stages, throwing his team on his back. I think Eli Manning is a Hall of Famer.
Okay, who goes in first, Ben or Eli?
Ben.
If they both return.
Here's the litmus test, and I talk about this with Kyle Brandt, who's one of the co-hosts on the NFL Network show. He says, if you have to think about it, he's not. So here's one for you. Is Phillip Rivers a Hall of Famer? You're thinking about it.
Yeah. Not enough.
I think so, too. I think so, too. But, that's the hesitation.
Well, we see these guys. Everybody's going to have numbers. And the numbers, I think, are skewed. Brandon Marshall, Hall of Famer?
I don't think so.
6 100-catch season.
Amazing player.
No playoffs, though. He never had a playoff game.
I think it's different with quarterback and wide receiver.
Yes.
I think the rings matter with a quarterback.
But you're going to have guys who are going to be pedestrians putting up 50,000 yards.
You're right.
And it used to be that was unheard of. Even 300 touchdown passes was unheard of.
It's such a fun debate because who are the no-brainers that are currently at quarterback, right? Brady, I think Rodgers already. I think Breeze already. I think Roethlisberger already. And then there's a couple guys, Rivers and Manning, that you're like, and then it's an interesting debate because not everyone can get in from a generation. There has to be, Ken Anderson can't get in. There's always that guy that's, Phil Simms had 2 Super Bowls also, good player.
Well, he didn't win the second one. If he did win the second one, right? Then he's in the Hall of Fame. Where are you this weekend?
This weekend, I got an interesting one. Detroit Lions, New Orleans Saints in the Big Easy.
Ooh.
Saints off a bye, a couple wins in a row. Lions coming in hobbled after that loss to the Panthers.
Are you surprised the Saints didn't trade Adrian Peterson to the Vikings?
That would have been fun, right?
But he's not doing anything. It's the wrong place.
I did 2 Vikings games in a row, and I actually was like, there's no bad blood for Adrian Peterson there. But when Dalvin Cook goes down, you have to think, okay, this is a perfect trade. Just make it.
Yeah.
I think that's
it's
done.
that bad?
Yeah, I think it's done.
Final question, and this is tough. And I know you're a man who asks tough questions.
I love it.
Who's prettier, Kyle Brandt or Kay Adams?
Kyle's pretty good.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's the right answer.
I love Kay, but Kyle's got the jawline.
I mean, it's close.
Chiseled.
It's close. Yeah.
Good looking guy. He was in Days of Our Lives.
Yeah, I heard.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll tell you.
Yeah, I know. We appreciate you coming on.
I loved coming on.
We'd love to have you on again. Peter Scrhager.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.